Hi guys, it's Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft. Today we're going to start a little project together. We're going to make a haversack out of a Swiss military surplus bread bag. Now let me explain what that is. You look on top of my pack, that's the bread bag. Now what that is the ration bag. And a lot of people don't realize that's what these extra buckles are on top of one of the Swiss packs is for. Let me adjust the camera and we'll talk about it. What this was the ration set. Now, on the top of these salt and pepper packs, heavy canvas pack, or this vinyl type rubberized canvas pack that I like to use when I'm canoeing, you have these extra two loops up here on the top, metal hooks, and then you have a little piece of leather on a grommet in the middle. That's for anchoring this pack to the top and allows you to take it on and off easily. Now, what this was for was in military application, one guy would walk along the line and get everybody else's bread bag. He would go to the meeting area over there, pick up everybody's dinner, and then bring it back. You open this up, and this is where the food went and everything else for their daily ration. It also had in it, let me finish unhooking here. This one's got a tight hook on it. Keep it from falling out or losing anything. There. It also had inside of it, that's where the canteen you see advertised went. Canteen and cup. Inside the bag, there's a sewed in loop right here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that loop is for the canteen and canteen cup to fit in there just like that. Made it a one unit ration bag. And everybody's name was on the bag. Now if you happen to be one of my followers in Sweden and you can recognize that name, well, your old bread bag ended up in Alabama, the United States. And it's going to become a haversack. So, as a bread bag or right along like patrol bag or something on top of the big bag, it's actually pretty good for that. But it's got a kind of an awkward way of getting into it. It's meant to be very secure and carry the food back so when the troopers grab it, it won't bounce out. And I understand that. We're going to modify this into a haversack. Stay with me. Be right back. Now, we've made the modifications to that bread bag. What I've done is I've taken that bread bag and I've done some carving on it. Took my knife and I followed that edge right here that's sewed where you've got the extra piece that's the flap going around like that. I cut it off. There's also a leather piece that goes across that hooks under the back. I utilize that. But what we have now is a haversack with a thick edge all the way around. Now the two loops up here at the top, I sliced them off as well. They don't serve any purpose right now, but I held on to the leather. I may think of something. On the inside you have the hook. Let me get closer and I'll show you. This hook right here, I took a pair of pliers and squeezed it just a little bit because it was a little too big for this loop, and I opened it up a little bit so it now easily, one hand I can put it on and off. As opposed to before you had to fiddle with it like crazy. Now it just drops on and off. Now, that piece of leather that went across the back that hooked, I took it and reutilized it. I cut it into 4 equal pieces and I sewed on the inside through to the outside. Now this makes 2 loops on the inside. And what that's for, take a little piece of paracord. And I take one, run it through, do a little half hitch on it, like that, pair of knots in the end. Pull it up, square that knot up like that. And that's made a loop on the inside. And what that's for is so I can take something like my car keys or something I really, really cannot lose. and I can clip it with a little carabiner or hook it somehow onto this so it stays in the bottom of the pack. I don't lose it. At this time, the only thing I'm thinking of doing is I have some medical pills that I have to carry for my health. I want to absolutely secure them with a little carabiner where they got to be so that no matter what, they're with me. Now, table's got that leg in that odd place, you know. Okay, now on the inside, you can see it better now. Here's this loop that is sewed into it. And that's where the issue canteening cup slides down in just like that on the inside. There's also enough room that I can take my Mora and slide it down beside of the canteen on the inside, just like that, and it will stay real secure in place. That way I got my extra blade handy and nothing moves around inside the bag. Now on the outside of the bag, where I have sewed through the bottom, making my leather loops, I now have these two leather loops on the very bottom. So what that does is that whenever I close the flap, I've got two hangs right here. Now, I talked about in a haversack I want an emergency shelter kit. It needs to be small, compact. So what I'm going to use is an emergency reusable space blanket. And these are Canadian jam knots I put on the bottom. There is a 55-gallon drum liner, ridge line, guy lines, stakes, and a emergency reusable space blanket, all in one. Weighs about 1.25 pounds maybe. And that's going to ride right here. I simply take my Canadian jam knots and hook it to the bottom. Made these short because I just want them to hold this. There we go. And once I cinch it up, it'll be there. This gives me a reliable way to carry in the field, and I just tuck those loose ends back up under itself. Ta-da! Now it rides on the bottom. It doesn't take any of the capacity out of the bag itself, but I know where my shelter is. And in a hurry, as we've talked about, you got to do that 5-minute shelter. There's my shelter. Just pull it out. Now, the bread bag has an internal pocket. There's a pocket, then the loop for the canteen, and then it has this hook for keeping it all kind of gathered up. Very handy. The flap rides just fine like that. You notice these two loops on here? Well, what I was thinking of occasionally, I hadn't made it quite yet, so I'm going to make it right quick. Occasionally I may want to carry something there. So what I'm going to do is just take a piece of paracord or two. This is a little long, but it'll suffice for the demonstration at the moment. And I'm going to push it through those holes, those loops that are sewed to the lid of the bag. Bring it back around, do it again. Just like that. And then I'm going to simply tie it unto itself right here in a square knot. Now what that has done is put a loop on the flap. And what that loop now carries is I can slide my hawk on there, just like that. Now let me adjust the camera and I'll show you me wearing it. Stay with me. One Swiss haversack. Now I've got easy access to my hawk. It doesn't rub against me. This strap is adjustable so I can put it where I want. And I may thicken it up by adding another layer to it. Or I've got a shoulder piece that you saw earlier that I hooked to it easily. It's a camera strap. But with that out of the way, it's easy to reach up here and get into the bag. For whatever it is I want, I can reach up and I can rehook and unhook that internal hook at will and put that back. Rides right there on my hip. Now I like it to ride a little bit like this in my lower rib so that it stays out of the way when I'm twisting and moving. I can also somehow hook it back here to my belt so that when I bend down and twist, it doesn't ride out of the way. But we'll get to that later. So, all you got to do to modify one of these bread bags is take off that extra loop. And this is good material. Don't throw it away. I was thinking, you know, I might take that and sew it on the inside as a pocket for a ferrocerium rod to sit down into, or something like that, you know, just a tube or something in there. The leather straps are normally pretty good saddle leather. That's what I reuse for the bottom. There'll be use for it. Even them two top loops with those slot and loop, probably down the line be useful for something. But for the moment, this is going to be my haversack, probably for this season. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you go out and get you one and then modify it for yourself. I'm Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.